Hi, Professor. This is I resubmit because my computer wasn't catching my audio earlier. So I'll just redo my presentation. So if I was in charge of creating the next generation's iPhone, I think primarily I would look at the demand or the need for a new iPhone, and I was kind of thinking, like, usually Apple comes out with a new phone every year or so, with a bunch of new features to keep the consumers buying their product. And also, if they keep, I think their strategy of coming out with new trendy products really helps and keeps the consumer buying their product, as well as actually coming up with new features that people would want to use. I think like the Face ID on the newer iPhones has been something that people didn't really know they needed, or I guess people didn't know they really wanted, because I think it's a pretty useful tool. So yeah, I think I would, if I was in charge, I would think, okay, how can you go the extra mile into keeping the consumers engaged and wanting to buy the product, but also showing that, the new product can have new features and can be used and accessible to everybody, I think. Also, just like the new aesthetics, I think it's very trendy to have an iPhone. So I think having that new aesthetic, that new trendy, fun aesthetic that people would want to keep to allow, to want them to buy the product. So I guess the next step after figuring out the actual reasons for creating a new iPhone, I would brainstorm into why people would want certain features. What do people need? What's the next advancement? What's the next thing for technology? I guess iPhones always have a new camera, so a newer or nicer camera, I guess is something people would want in a new iPhone. Maybe just new features. Just new features people would want. I kind of thought of, mostly just thought of new cameras. Also, I know Apple has their whole touchless payment, so maybe being able to do more things just through the iPhone. I know Samsung also has a model where you can put two phones together and it'll charge the other phone. And I think a big problem for people is that their phones are running out of battery. So I think having something that could keep the phone lasting longer, battery with the battery percentage, would also be something people would want. And then I guess my third step would be to plan. And I think planning would come with a lot of prototypes and a lot of testing, because I don't think I would just create one prototype. I would create many, many, many different prototypes and get feedback from all different types of people who know about the technology and people who don't, and people who would be the typical consumer, or the typical person who would be interested in buying this iPhone. So I guess with that planning, I would make prototypes and brainstorm, put my ideas, after putting my ideas on paper, actually put it on a new iPhone and see how people respond to it. I think definitely getting feedback from as many different categories of people as possible is pretty crucial to know if the iPhone will actually work for others. And then my fifth step would, of course, be to improve. After getting all this feedback from my prototypes, I would know, what do I add, what do I keep, what do I drop from the iPhone in order to kind of go down to the most accurate final product that people would actually want to buy. So I think trial and error is a very huge is a huge part of this process of trying to figure out, okay, what's the best thing that people could use. Those would be my steps for coming out with the new generation's iPhone. I think also, thank you.